So guys, in the month of July, I only received 7 different dividend payments, but each one definitely packed a punch and came from some of the highest yielding stocks in my portfolio, like VICI Properties, Blue Owl Capital Corporation, and Realty Income. And in this video, we're going to go through each of those payments and add them all up to reveal my dividend income for the month, as well as my total income received so far in 2025. But real quick, before we get to those, I want to hear from you. Leave me a comment below and let me know what were some of your highest dividend payments this month and which stocks did they come from. I'd be curious to hear if we have any of the same ones. Anyway, getting into my dividend payments, the first one I received this month came from Kilroy Realty Corporation, KRC, who paid me a whopping $41.58, which was a great way to kick off the month of July. And KRC overall actually had a really killer month. If we take a look at the share price performance over here on Snapstock, which you can start using right now for your own stock research and analysis, there's a link to it in the description of the video and in the pinned comment. But like I said, KRC just crushed it this month. The stock is up 13.4%, and it's up even more today as I'm recording this after they reported a beat on both the top and bottom line in their most recent quarterly earnings. And with that, they also revised their FFO guidance upwards for the full year, which is exciting. At any rate, if we take a look at my full KRC position over here using my dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet, which you can start using for free, there is a link to download this spreadsheet in the description of the video. But here we can see I have 77 shares at an average cost of $37.47. So the current share price is about $1 above that right now, and I am so happy to finally be back in the green on this position. Right now, just looking at the share price, I'm up 2.7%, and including dividends, I'm doing a whole lot better. I'm up 17.4%. So things are going pretty well overall with KRC. At any rate, getting into the second dividend payment I received, which came from one of the other REITs in my portfolio, this one is VICI Properties, and in July, VICI paid me $62.71, a killer dividend payment, and that's going to put our total for the month so far above $100. Right now, we're sitting at $104.29, and there wasn't much movement for VICI in the last month. The stock was only up 1.3%. Still, I'll take it, and if we zoom out looking at the year-to-date performance, it's done a lot better. VICI's had a really killer year. The stock is up over 16%, and as I'm sure you can imagine, that's going to leave my position sitting real pretty. I have 145 shares at an average cost of $28.50. So right now, the current share price is about $4.25 above that, which is going to leave me up 15%. Just looking at the share price and over 20% on a total return basis, which I think is pretty great considering I've only held this stock for maybe at most about a year. I don't even know if it's been a full year since I've owned VICI Properties, but nonetheless, so far we're off to a great start. Now moving on from VICI Properties to another real estate investment trust that I own. This is number 3 out of 4. This one is Realty Income, and in July, Realty Income paid me $29.27. Not too shabby, and that's going to bring our total so far for the month to $133.56. And like VICI Properties, there really wasn't much movement for Realty Income here in the last month. The stock was basically flat in the last 30 days, which is totally fine. And if we zoom out looking at the year to date, it's done really well. Realty Income has had a great year so far. The stock is up almost 12%. And jumping back over to the spreadsheet, that's going to leave my position in great shape. I have about 109 shares of Realty Income at an average cost of about $53.50. So the current share price is roughly $4 above that, which is going to leave me up 7%, well, almost 7% just looking at the share price, and 21% on a total return basis, including dividends. Now moving on, this is going to bring us to payment number 4. This one came from Main Street Capital Corporation, which like Realty Income is another monthly dividend payer in my portfolio. And in July, Main paid me $14.35, which is going to bring our total so far for the month to $147.91. And along with the monthly dividend payment, Main Street also delivered some pretty incredible share price performance, as we can see right here. In the last 30 days, the stock is up 9.4%, and overall, it's had a very strong year. The stock is up 12.25%, and zooming out even more over the last 365 days, Main Street just cannot be stopped. The stock is up 34%, which if we take a look at my full position, this has quickly made Main Street one of my best performing positions overall across the entire portfolio. Right now, I have about 56.25 shares of Main Street at an average cost of $40.66, which is clearly quite a bit below the current share price to the tune of almost $25. And if we scroll over looking at the returns here, just looking at the share price, I'm up almost 60% with Main Street, which is pretty incredible considering this is such a high yielding stock. So I I don't think normally you would expect to see so much of these returns coming from share price appreciation, but that's certainly happening here with Main Street so far. And on a total return basis, I'm up over 87%. So looking good across the board here. And just looking at the dollars, I'm up almost $2,000, including dividends on a total return basis. But anyway, moving on, this is going to bring us to payment number 5, which came from the other business development company. Main Street was the first one. Blue Owl Capital Corporation here is the second. And in July, they paid me $67.12, a killer dividend payment. And that's going to officially put us across the $200 mark for the month. Right now, the current total is $215.03. And as we can see here, as far as the share price goes, there really hasn't been too much movement for Blue Owl. In the last month, the stock is only up about 1.5%. And year to date, the stock has hardly budged. It's only up about 0.5% so far in 2025. And if we take a look at my position, I have 181.4 shares at an average cost of $13.82. And there's really not much of a gap between my cost basis and the current share price. But if we scroll over looking at the returns, this is still going to leave me up 5% just looking at the share price. And on a total return basis, I'm up 31.8%. So with this one, the dividends really pack a punch, which is no surprising considering this is the highest yielding stock in my portfolio with a yield of 10.2%. At any rate, moving on to dividend payment number 6, this one came from the fourth and final real estate investment trust in my portfolio. This one is WP Carey, and in July, WPC paid me $34.30, which is going to bring our total so far for the month to $249.33. And believe it or not, WP Carey has actually been one of the best performing stocks in my portfolio this year. In fact, it might actually be my best performer. The last 30 days for WP Carey was pretty solid. The stock was up 4.6%, but look at this year-to-date performance, guys. It is up 22.5%. WP Carey is coming back from the dead, but still it's not enough to bring me back in the green. I have 38.1 shares, and my average cost of $65.74 is just about $1.30 above the current share price. So this is going to still leave me down almost 2% just looking at the share price, but including dividends, we are seeing a positive return. Overall, I'm up 16% here. Anyway, guys, those are all of the dividend payments I received in my taxable brokerage account, but I still had one more come over from the Roth IRA. And this one came from VOO, the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF, who paid me $23.25 in July. And this is what my VOO position is looking like right now. I have 13.5 shares at an average cost of $456.61. So I'm doing pretty well with this one, actually. It looks like I'm up about 28% just looking at the share price. Dividends give you a little boost, really nothing too crazy, but on a total return basis, I'm up 30.3%. And with that final payment from VOO, that's going to bring my total dividend income for the month of July to $272.58, which in itself is a pretty solid month, but this is a 10.8% decline compared to this time last year, where I brought in $305.61. And this was actually the first month that I ever received over $300 in dividends. Now, I mentioned this in last month's video, but last July, we received a dividend payment from SCHD. That same payment this year was paid out in June, which you'll remember if you saw last month's dividend income update. So even though the income is still there, it just shifted months, and that time difference is the only thing that caused this year-over-year decline in income for this month. And if we zoom out looking at the dividend income on a year-to-date basis, so far in 2025, I brought in $1,944.23, which is a big 24.63% year-over-year increase compared to the first 7 months of 2024. By this time last year, I'd only brought in $1,560 in dividend income, so that represents a gain of almost $400 year over year, which is a pretty big jump. And now, guys, here's a full recap of this month's dividend payments. You'll see what I was paid out this month, what I was paid out this time last year, and the year over year difference. And you can see a couple stocks here saw some pretty big jumps. Realty Income is up double digits year over year. Blue Owl Capital Corporation is up a whopping 56% year over year. Part of that was probably just more dividends being paid out, but I also swooped up some more shares of Blue Owl between now and then. And then VOO, which I dollar cost average into every single week, also saw a very big jump by about 55%. But anyway, guys, that's what went down in July. And with that, now I want to switch gears and show you which companies are going to be paying me in this upcoming month here in August. And to do this, we are going to be using the dividend calendar tool over here on Snowball Analytics, which outside of my free portfolio tracking spreadsheet, this is hands down my favorite portfolio tracker. And if you're looking for something with more bells and whistles than your standard spreadsheet, then I highly recommend you check out Snowball Analytics. I think you guys would really like this one. You can actually check it out for free in the description and in the pinned comment. I'll include a link to Snowball Analytics so you can check it out for yourself. At any rate, here's what's on deck for the month of August. It looks like the first payment's going to be coming from Lowe's here on August 6th. We'll be paying almost $20. That'll be pretty solid. Then we have have a killer payment from Enterprise Products Partners here, $75.66 about a week later. Then the next day, we've got $31 coming in from Procter & Gamble, almost $30 coming in from Realty Income, about $16.50 coming in from AbbVie, $14.35 coming in from Main Street Capital Corporation. And these are all going to be paid out on the 15th. That's going to be a very solid day of dividends. And then a week later, we've got Williams-Sonoma paying out $23.76. And then we'll close out the month with Starbucks, who's going to be paying $47.62. And if we add all of these together, that's going to bring the total dividend income for the month to $257.82. So August is shaping up to be another hot month of dividends. And with that, if you're in the market for some cheap dividend stocks, then check out this next video right over here, where I'm telling you about 3 of them, all of which look like very hot buys right now as we head into August. So click right over here to check those out, and I'll see you in the next one.